Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once again to the USAirsoft Videocast, our 4th edition. I'm Scott Slade Hallenbeck.
And I'm Connor Sherwin.
And today we got another great show for you today. Today we're going to go over some guns, some news from Airsoft Medicine, I always say it wrong, Airsoft Medicine, and some news about a company called Kaltac. So hope you like our show for you today. Today we got some news about the Kaltac KSG. This is a gun that's been in a lot of shooters lately, mostly some CODs, and I think it made a spot in Battlefield once. And the KSG is a bullpup design shotgun, so a long barrel but relatively still a short firearm. And it's a nice shotgun, I think, and you've seen it before in a few games before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're going to be releasing one for the airsoft community, and it's going to be made by Madbull. It's said to be $100 or in that range, and it's going to be released within the next month or two. So I'm going to be definitely looking out for something like that, and I'm obviously going to be buying that. What do you think, Con?
I think it'll be pretty interesting to see someone using that, because I've never really been one to use a shotgun, but
There's a lot of shotguns out there that are subpar, and there's some that are really amazing. It's kind of hard to find one in the middle. You have the great Tokyo Marui shotguns, but they're way over there in the price, and the ones that are alright to buy are just have some flaws that everyone knows about. GMP made those nice shotguns, some really nice 870s in many different forms, but they were all single shot. So even if they were $200, they were just only shooting one BB. And the other ones are, well, the ones you just buy have broken and they just throw away. So one that actually lasts a while that you're expecting to put some work into and make even better is a great shotgun. This is one that I would really be paying attention to, just like the Tokyo Marui Spot 12, which kind of barely exists now. What would be a shotgun that you would want to get your hands on?
I'd like to see the HS-10, I think is what
Oh,
it's
the
called.
HS-10s, the really small bullpup shotguns.
Yeah, I think that one was in like Black Ops or something like that.
Any shotguns that are already made? Any ones that are already out there that you wanted to get your hands on? I know you're not much of a shotgun person right now.
Yeah, I never really thought about that because I'm not really a shotgun guy.
I think right now it'd just be the Tokyo Marui Spot 12. This one, if it actually makes its debut out, which right now it looks really good. You can find a few pictures out there. And Airsoft Society has a story about it on there, and Popular Airsoft does. So you can probably find those up and get the info you need to find on there. But yeah, the Tokyo Marui Spot 12, this KSG, and the Frenchie Spot 12, SAS 12, which is a 3-shot shotgun. So moving on, we have the Matrix MG42, which I myself made a video of on my old channel, and it was more of a preview. Once EVIC released the info that the MG42 was going to come out, I made a video of what I thought about it already then, the info that they actually released to us, and it got viewed about 1,000 times, but all negatives. They thought it was a review back then, but it got a lot of mixed reviews because they said it was wobbly, doesn't look that right. People wanted to polar star it, which I'm all for, but you're going to be sinking a lot of money into that. But now that people are starting to get theirs, the reviews are coming up out there, and I viewed one from a group called Blunt County Airsoft, and it was a pretty good unboxing. He went through everything that I needed to know as a consumer about it, and I have to say it's a really nice looking gun. The wood stock is amazing, all real, stamped steel, I believe, and it's a relatively heavy gun as well, and it's going to get people's attention once it goes out there.
Yeah, that'd be something interesting to see, because the MG42 has always been a gun that I've kind of liked and hoped to see in an airsoft gun. And now it actually is. I've heard about it for a while and it's never actually happened, but now
The only ones that were out there were just prototypes that never really made it anywhere, and they were way too expensive. I know the RWA MG34 that's now on Airsoft GI and Red Wolf is like $1,400. But this one's still not cheap either. This one's a $600 gun. People pre-ordered this, and it was supposed to come out in November of last year, but it got pushed back so far until just recently. So the people who pre-ordered that pretty early were very disappointed whenever that came. But yeah, we'll put a link to that video of the Blunt County Airsoft unboxing of the MG42 on the description and on here. So be able to check that out and write a comment to this guy because he's a pretty nice guy already. He actually wrote a pretty long review actually about the Matrix MG42, and he sent that to us. Although the gun is incredibly long, I was able to maneuver it around whenever I needed it to be. It's considerably lighter than most saws like the M249 and M60. Now the bipod on the front is very wobbly. When trying to set it on a table, it may fall over. But when mounted, it provides for one of the most maneuverable bipods I've ever used. No more of that only being able to turn so far or only being able to tilt it a certain angle. Once it's mounted, you can turn a complete 90-degree angle if need be. Now another great feature is an auto feed magazine that holds its own batteries, 3 AAAs. That way you don't have to worry about a high rate of fire in the magazine draining your battery twice as fast. On my MK43, I usually have to carry 2 batteries with me to, of course, be able to run this gun. The MG42, I never had to worry about that. Not to mention a 2,500 round magazine that once filled does not need to be reloaded for some time. Now the detail of the gun is amazing, all the way from real steel to the real wood buttstock. They even have the sights and pistol grip accurate to the real thing as well. Now the first downside is the hefty price tag of $630, but you are getting what your money's worth. The MG42's out of the box is a great buy for an airsoft game. The gun, in my opinion, is more of a mounted defense weapon. It has a great range because of the long barrel, but for 330 feet per second rating, all you're going to get is a mediocre range. A mediocre range. The length is sometimes too long to bear with, but when I'm running with it sideways, the wood seems to poke me. Might just clothesline yourself on a tree, being as it's too long. What I would do to improve though, it already puts out a high rate of fire at around 18 to 20 rounds per second. It wasn't as intimidating to me. Maybe because I own a saw that shoots around that high, so I threw on 11.1 LiPo battery in there and let the sucker roar, and truly turned it into what I called Ryan's buzzsaw. It makes a mean sound too when you hear the gun let loose in the woods. It was a perfect defense for our attack and defense scenario. Right away, I think it has an M110 spring. So I'd probably upgrade the spring to a M120 spring or an M130 spring. It gives it more power and push those BBs further, more range. So simply upgrade your spring or tighter bore barrel. And lastly, I'd try to make some type of front grip out of the gun. It is just so long and at times difficult to maneuver. But like I said, my final opinion, do I think of the $630 for an MG42 is worth it? Personally, no. But if you actually took the time to add a couple of things that wouldn't cost you that much more, then yes. Also, if you really are a World War II fanatic and you love the weapons, this is a yes for you. And if you have any appreciation for German technology from the Great War, then this is a must-have, especially for all those World War II airsoft reenactors. This gun does perform well, but just a big price tag for the average airsofter. So what do I think of the MG42 by Matrix? I think it's a pretty nice gun. You seem to like it too, but I don't think we're ever going to get the chance to actually see one or play against one or play with one.
Yeah, unless one of the people just somehow manages to get their hands on one, I don't think we're ever going to see one out there. Unless somebody watching this has one and wants to come down to Mission Airsoft.
That'd be a great day for us. So if you actually want to play with one of us one day on the airsoft field, just make sure to come out to Mission Airsoft and you'll be able to find us. And we'll have either a great time playing with you or against you. Now, another thing that we have to face right now in California is SB 199, which is a. Oh shit! What is it? What is it? Another thing we have to face right now is SB 199, a proposal to dumb down airsoft pretty much in California. This will make it where it's much easier for law enforcement to know what an airsoft gun is when if ever they have it pointed at them or they see it, they'll be able to tell that it is an airsoft gun. But the problem with it is it will destroy airsoft for California because it'll just make things just ridiculous and mediocre. It can put a lot of people out of work, and it can give airsoft a really bad name. We don't really want to have to see that or have to deal with that. Being here in Texas, it's pretty great for us. We don't really have much airsoft laws besides don't take it outside without a gun bag. So we don't have to really deal with that. But people for California, we would recommend that you guys talk to your district managers or your district representatives and really contact them and tell them that what you think about SB 199. If you are in the area of California, in that district area, make sure to contact them and let them know it. Because what you say will affect what happens to airsoft in California. So make sure to check out that, and make sure to check out the Airsoft Medicine's blog about SB 199 and put down your thoughts. Now, another thing we have for you guys is a group called Crytek. It's a new company that's actually being made by Chris. Now, Chris makes the Vectors and the Sphinx. So everyone knows what the Chris Vector is. KWA did it. It's an amazing little submachine gun that would be great if we could get our hands on one of those too. But we've even played against one of them. They're scary little SMGs. So we know them for that. Well, they're now coming out with their own company called Crytek, which is going to be specifically for airsoft. And what I like about these guys is they're taking the ideas from different companies that have revolutionized airsoft and push them on to their products. So quick change springs for to reduce or heighten your FPS for CQB or field. Decocking your spring so you don't wear out your spring. And an internal MOSFET. Internal MOSFETs are something that's actually flying around. Now these are all speculations that we've been getting. So these are things that we are to expect, but are not really sure to be actually in them. Right now they are working on M4s as what we know. But vectors are very touchy, seeing as they're getting into licensing issues with other companies that they've actually worked with. So we are not sure if we're going to ever see another Chris Vector from another company such as Crytek, or if it's just going to be stuck with KWA that's already done it. What do you think of this right now? Because what they're doing right now is going to be amazing if they get all this done with.
Yeah, that'll be cool. It'll be kind of like PTS with Magpul.
Yeah, I mean, all the good stuff with other good stuff.
Yeah, it'll be more than likely be expensive, but as PTS was, they're no longer around really anymore.
This is another dead company.
Yeah, and
no, they're still around. They still produce stuff, but they've mostly just licensed everything out at this point. They're a licensing company.
And their stuff's really good though. When you have someone out there with a PTS, anything, it's usually pretty good. So I'm actually really excited to see what these guys do.
I like companies that do the kind of stuff like this because they know what some of the problems are out there and how can they fix it and make airsoft better. If you have a company that knows what the players wants to see, how the manufacturer should work with their products and how product control should be like, then that's what we like to see. A company that knows what their problems are or what other companies have made a problem with and then enhance that and make it much better for the actual players out there. So that's just another company I really, really want to see how they work with, well, how the airsoft community works with that and how their products revolutionize airsoft. Okay. All right. Now, another segment that we have on here that we think that everyone that's ever played airsoft has had to deal with something like this is the stuff that airsoft haters say. The stuff that airsoft haters say, which most of the time are just paintballers or airsofters that just don't get along and get a lot of stuff thrown around. And me and Connor here, we think that airsoft and paintball are kind of equal. If you like airsoft, do airsoft. If you like paintball, do paintball. If you don't like either, then don't do either. Play Nerf. So, this is the kind of stuff that we hear on the field a lot. And me and Connor are just going to go back and forth with this and just see how this is completely wrong. Just stuff that just flies around. So, Connor, throw one at me.
One of the biggest ones I tend to hear is only people that can't get into the military play airsoft.
Bullshit. How many people have we played against or even played with that have actually been ex-military?
The greater majority of people I played with are ex-military. The rest of them are not even associated. They're just out there to play airsoft because it's cool.
When I played with the guys at Chernobyl, I believe 2 people there were actually ex-military. And they said it was a great reliever for them. It's great to relieve stress for them. And if you're suffering from stuff that you went through during any war, it's great to come back and just relieve stress. It's the one big thing that I believe that all veterans should be able to do, is just relieve any stress they have and go out to an airsoft field and play a little bit and go home happy. So we've played against military before, so for the ones that can't get in the military but play airsoft, good for them. They're actually out of the house doing something. So I believe that is very flawed. There are people that have been ex-military or even people that are going into the military soon who play airsoft or who have played airsoft. So now it's my turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Only kids play airsoft. So I guess you mean like 12-year-olds or 4-year-olds or somewhere in between that?
I can say I'm not a kid.
No. You're 22?
Yeah.
I'm 18.
I play airsoft and I'm not a kid, so bull.
I've had jobs. You have a job. Cameraman has a job.
Yep.
He's 84.
I am not. 27, but yeah, 84.
So whenever I went to Chernobyl, there weren't anyone below the age of 18 out there. And they were all having fun. There were no kids really out there. There was 2, but they were legitimate players. We've played with kids before, and it's all right. We teach them how to become better airsofters, and they further down the line, they become great airsofters. I played with 2 people last weekend that have never been in an airsoft field before. And every time I pegged them off after the game, I would tell them what they did wrong and how they could fix that. And then they kicked my ass. So as long as you meet a new player out there, let them know what they did wrong. And if they take the advice you give them, then great for them, because then they learn how to be better airsofters. So being as you're playing with kids, possibly, that's not essentially a bad thing. So how many kids go out into a paintball game and play paintball?
You do see kids play paintball.
But no one says anything about that.
Yeah.
So this kind of double standard that whatever happens in paintball is excusable, whatever happens in airsoft is not. That's just some backwards thinking that we don't really like. I mean, both industries both have some flaws. And that's not to take advantage of. I mean, okay, the one thing for paintball, they don't have realism in most of their guns. But we do. But then again, they can feel every time they get hit, and sometimes we might not be able to feel that. So we got realism, they got a hit response. We have possible better range most of the time, but they have a wider game field. Like there are way more paintballers than there are airsofters, but we're still building up until then. So what do you got for me this time?
Another thing I like that, I hear all the time is, oh, you airsofters season just don't like the pain that paintball has.
Okay. 2 weeks ago, some guy broke his nose in the field. That's not painful, right? We had some problems 2 weeks ago with some problems like just like general things, like they were smashing into trees kind of stuff. I've been hit multiple times, and I'm taken to some pain. I've seen guys that have lost teeth because of airsoft, and I've seen guys that are just having the BB stuck in them. So paintball does have a hit response. You will feel it whenever you get hit. You will feel it when you get hit with airsoft too. But if you're wearing a lot of gear, you might excuse it. You might not even hear it.
2 words. My DMR.
Yep, that thing you will feel whenever it hits. Even when I'm playing cameraman, you seem to still peg me a few times. So I know what it feels like.
That on purpose.
I know what it feels like to be hit by his DMR. It is not fun. And it's not just his DMR. We've played with a lot of people that have upgraded their guns and such. They hurt, regardless. I get hit a lot as a cameraman. And even though I try to ignore it while I'm playing, when I'm actually filming, it still hurts. I still feel it. I'm not a robot. So even though I'm filming, if you don't see me flinch when I get hit, I'll still indicate it in the video. It still hurts. I still come back. I have to wipe them off. I mean, just the pain and sometimes the bleeding I get from it. So, of course, it's still going to hurt. It's not going to be as terrible as paintball could be. But we still get those really bad hits. I mean, what's the worst hit you've ever taken?
Top 3 for me would have to be 1 directly in the throat, 1 to my fingernail, which actually gave me a blood blister under my fingernail, and then the other one I took to the soft tissue right behind your jaw under your ear. And that one wasn't fun. It felt like I got hit with a marble.
And I remember when we had a player out in the field who always upgrades his guns to the limit to what he can go to. And I believe it was the second time I went out to the field. I got hit right on the shoulder underneath the collarbone. And it looked like I had a golf ball underneath my skin. It was really bad. And that was not a fun time for me. Then I started filming, and then actually I became a photographer after that. I just took that game and just took a break on that, and I just wanted to do filming, and that's whenever I started going into filming. So, yes, airsoft does hurt. Paintball hurts more, but just matters how it's upgraded or what. It just matters about everything, how close you are, what's upgraded out there, and how you're hit and where you're hit. So, saying that airsoft does not hurt, total lie. My turn, huh? One thing we've heard from our tech guy is he was told a lot that he plays airsoft because he's scared to get dirty. Sounds nasty, but we literally mean in the grit, dirty, like mud and paint and stuff. But we've played after a rainy day or a rainy night.
Yeah.
And we come back from the game with mud and dirt and leaves and everything covering us.
Yeah. Or, laying prone in the dark on top of a cactus patty. That's fun, too.
Been there, done that in paintball, too.
Two weeks ago, at the first game I went into, I jumped into a cactus. And out of the heat of the battle, I didn't notice. Got my kill, got hit, I was killed, and I walked away, and oh, that hurt.
But just, we get dirty, too. There's mud on the field all the time, especially...
There's ants, there's snakes, there's all sorts of hazards we have to go through when we're out on the field. Because when you're at a paintball game, it's usually in like a football field or something that's about that size, with all the bunkers and stuff around it or such. And I believe that the referees would check around everywhere to see that there's no hazards there before they play the game, unless you're at an actual field like here in Texas where we have all the mesquite and all the thick trees and woods and stuff.
Like Woods Ball.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So we wouldn't get the chance for the referees to go check the entire place because we have like 3 or 4 acres that they would have to go through, which would take hours. So,
especially if you were at a tactical, I was 120 acres, and there was no way in hell I was checking that much land.
So something that's a vast land is not going to be able to be checked within the time that's reasonable. But we will still get dirty. We will still have hazards. I've heard stories at Chernobyl. And at Chernobyl, they have a lot of cars just spread out. It's the whole point. And when looking for an objective, you open car doors and look for objectives certain times. Well, I've heard stories where you open the car door, there's a snake in there, and they close the door, and you could just say the objective is being guarded. So is walk away from that. So we have to deal with that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that paintball doesn't have to deal with that kind of stuff too. They probably have to deal with mud and snakes and such, but maybe less. Maybe less, because I'm not very sure. I've never really been out to a paintball game. Our cameraman has, and I don't know if he's ever had any problems with snakes and wildlife.
But,
only one time that I actually had a problem with a snake, but I pretty much shot it in the face and threw it out across the fence, and that was that.
But
did you ever have a problem with snakes or wildlife during a paintball game?
yeah, and you're gonna run into it everywhere, but airsofters aren't afraid of it. So that's basically the point of what we're talking about.
No, we're not talking about a T-Rex going down the field, but it's still a snake. So another thing that we did for our enders for our new videos are just a little thing I thought was pretty neat that I can do with a few pistols. And being known for the pistol guy at Mission Airsoft, it's not surprising that I would learn how to do this. And I've gotten asked a few times on how I do it. So we're going to be showing you today how to cock a handgun with just one hand. Not very hard. So like I said, cocking your handgun with one hand is not very hard. It's actually pretty fun and a little bit cool on the field. So we're going to teach you how to do something like this. So you can do this with any pistol, but today we're going to be using a WE M1911 with my suppressor on it. So the suppressor is just to make it easier on me, but it's not very hard in general. So the first thing you're going to want to do to just go with this is just do it slowly. I would recommend you do this on a couch or a pillow or something that makes it where much easier fall. So if this were to fall, it wouldn't break. So what you're going to want to simply do is just let this roll, and once you get this in this position, just grab the upper slide with your 4 fingers on top and pull back. Gravity will just take care of the rest, and then just push it upwards, pull it upwards, and it'll just seem to ride back and you can catch it. And that's mostly it. So it's just that to process. This has been Scott Slade Hallenbeck
and Connor Sherwin.
and this is USAirsoft. Make sure to check out for the USAirsoft Videocast episode 5. You like that video? Hope you did. What if you did? Then like now. What if you're not subscribed? Then subscribe now, funny man and or woman, and get all the other videos that we upload. And guys, always remember, when you're not on the field, keep them chambers empty.